out of all the fights, I know if you watched Spence, what was the one fight of his victories that this is going to be the fight Crawford's going to really have to deal with? Which fight?
I'm going to say no fights because the media put him there. They made Spence who Spence is today. PBC put him there. Showtime put him there. He got a lot of good fights, but there's not one fight that Stamp says to me, oh, that's a great fighter. He's accomplished a lot, but I haven't seen one performance out of him to say, that's a great fighter, we need to kick his ass. Everybody else put him in a position to where he got to, and that label that he got put on him, y'all did that. Part of the media, right?
I am part of the media.
Okay, all right then. Y'all put him there. Y'all put him.
Take it for you guys
to get this ass whooping.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live.
Wow, you guys heard it. Terence Crawford's trainer, Bomac, blames the media, us, for building Errol Spence and putting Errol Spence in the position that he's currently in. That's what I want to talk about right here in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. The clip you heard at the beginning was Bomac, Terence Crawford's trainer, again, and he says that the media created Errol Spence, which I strongly disagree with, and I will elaborate in this video. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. That's the #1 thing. If you love boxing, you should be subscribed. So hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. Now, why does Ego disagree with that? Well, for starters, it's false. If you look at Errol Spence's accomplishments, you look at what Errol Spence has done as a fighter, how is the media to blame for his accomplishments? Like, I'm media. I've been credentialed media for several years. I'm full-time right here on YouTube, etc., etc. So with that being said, I'm a part of it, you know? I'm a part of the culture, if you will. So I need to know how we're suggesting that the media put Errol Spence in any position rather than his own talents. For example, was it the media that got Errol Spence to qualify for the Olympic team? I don't think the media, he didn't even have media back then. So how could it be our fault that he made the Olympics? You know, no different than Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson made it to the Olympics. Andre Ward. These guys didn't really have a ton of media. If anything, Shakur Stevenson might have had more media than Andre Ward and guys like Errol Spence at that time, because Shakur came in the social media era, and the year he was at the Olympics, you seen Floyd Mayweather went to the Rio Olympics and was potentially trying to sign him when he went pro, things like that. But guys like Errol Spence at that particular time, the year his class, you know, that wasn't really prevalent, you know, like some of the future Olympians like Keyshawn, where people might have already been checking with them or they had a social following. People didn't really know who Errol Spence was back then unless you followed boxing closely. That's one. Also, I've been in this industry for so many years. I helped pioneer boxing in the digital space. So with that being said, I distinctly remember first hearing about Crawford and putting people on to Crawford, as well as Errol Spence. And guess what? The reality of it is this. Both of the fighters, I remember their origins very well. You know, Crawford really kind of blew when he fought Gamboa. Yeah, he had the Bradis Prescott thing, and some boxing fans knew him, but people really, like more like everyday fans, really checked for him in the Gamboa performance. As far as Errol Spence became an urban legend out the gates because he was called into Floyd Mayweather's sparring camp, and rumor has it he gave Floyd a black eye and held his own, and it was an intense sparring session that really pushed Floyd Mayweather. Floyd will even tell you that Errol Spence was one of the guys after the Cotto fight, I believe it was, when he had that small stint in prison for like 90 days and he got out and didn't really know much about Errol Spence, sparred him, and then he said Errol Spence gained his respect that day because Errol Spence was hanging and, you know, pushing him to his greatness as he was preparing for Robert Guerrero or whoever he was fighting at that time. So the media can't be held accountable for that. The media didn't create these urban legends. We seen Floyd with a black eye and people like, wow, who did that? Floyd's the GOAT. You know, Floyd got a defense. Who on earth did that? There was also rumors back then that he was getting the better of Adrian Broner and possibly made Broner cry. And Broner's a talented fighter who was on the incline at that specific moment. Guys like he was sparring, I think, Linares and Lamont Peterson. So how are you going to say that the media created this? Errol Spence, the Gates kind of had a following because he was a tall tale. He was an urban legend. And then as he was climbing up the ranks, guys like Konstantin Ponomarev, at the time an Abel Sanchez fighter, was ducking him. So we're like, man. Then he bodied Leonard Bundu and kept calling out Kell Brook and so on and so forth. So to say that he's a media creation is just flat out a lie, and it's flat out false, right? And I can go through Errol's whole pedigree. I remember Errol, he was calling out Kell Brook. Kell Brook was looking in other directions saying, why should I fight this guy? And he kept climbing the IBF route, climbing up. Finally, he gets his opportunity after Kell Brook loses at middleweight to Triple G. And then Errol Spence stopped him in Sheffield, England, before 30,000 of Kell Brook's fans. So when you see performances like what he did, Errol even put that on a chain because it was just the dope like image, the photo of Kell Brook taking a knee, completely deflated, getting punished at home, and Errol Spence celebrating. It's just a classic photo, you know, it's an iconic photo that people remember. So the media had nothing to do with that. His work and the work he was putting in is what made people fall in love with Errol Spence and or continue to support. Now, what it seems like to me, it seems like Crawford's team is insanely jealous, and they are jealous of how much attention Errol Spence has gotten, the love, the adoration, the support that he's getting. And I truly believe they feel that that's all owed to Terence Crawford. Meanwhile, people are saying Crawford, his resume could be better. I wish he had a better resume. He should have fought in prime guys and stuff like that. So if you think about it, it's almost like a Jedi mind trick. All the criticism that Crawford is receiving for his lack of quality of oppositions when he fought him, especially at the welterweight category, all that venom and vitriol that's coming his way, it's almost like they're trying to use this Jedi mind trick and spin it somehow on Errol Spence. So people believe that, no, it's not Terence Crawford that's receiving this criticism. Errol Spence is the media creation. The other thing is, if we're talking media creations, I mean, who's more of a media creation, seeing how Crawford is ranked #1 on mainstream old media's pound for pound list, and Errol Spence has never been #1 on those same pound for pound lists. Instead, somehow Errol Spence, even though despite not losing as of me recording this video, he keeps dropping. Like if Dimitri Bivol does good, they'll put him above. If Usyk beats Anthony Joshua, they'll move Errol down and then put Usyk above. Guys like Canelo were above Errol Spence on mainstream old media's pound for pound list. Guys like Inoue, who has a fight coming up with Fulton, were on the pound for pound list. So how are you going to say he was a media creation and old media, which is in charge of most of the mainstream media, like outlets like ESPN and then back then HBO, things like that, they're in control of a lot of the print and deadline writers and stuff like that. They don't even really give Errol Spence a bunch of credit. Errol Spence is not a guy who's winning ESPY awards. That's Terence Crawford. He's the one, the ESPN fighter that got nominated for an ESPY and won. I don't think they've ever even had Errol Spence, no matter what he did in that year, coming back from a car wreck and beating Danny Garcia, turning Ugas into a Cyclops. I don't even think they really had Errol Spence as a nominee for Fighter of the Year, let alone I know for a fact he hasn't won it. So it's like, it literally seems like reverse psychology. They're saying that Errol is a media creation, but the weakest champion at the welterweight division in the last several years undoubtedly has been Jeff Horn, right? He's literally, so recent years, Pacquiao's been a champion. Keith Thurman's been a champion. Errol Spence has been a champion. Terence Crawford's been a champion. Cuban fighter Yordenis Ugas has been a champion. And these are most of the champions, like up and coming, like interim champions, Jaron Boots Ennis or Virgil Ortiz. And then you have Jeff Horn. In that whole laundry list that I just gave, you would literally put at the tail end of all of those guys, Danny Garcia's and all these guys, you would literally put Jeff Horn at the back of the bus like Rosa Parks, right? That's no cap. You really could not have him the front of the pack saying he was the best champion out of everyone I just named in the last recent years. You know, guys like Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao. He's literally the worst champ. He's kind of a one-hit wonder. So what are we talking? Crawford is getting ranked #1 pound for pound, and he has a belt, a WBO belt, because of Jeff Horn, the worst champion out of that whole list that I just gave at welterweight, who after losing to Crawford, he had one fight and then he lost, and then later he lost to Tim Tszyu, and now he's retired. So he literally finished his career, and his claim to fame was beating Manny Pacquiao, and he really shouldn't have beat Manny Pacquiao if you watched the fight. So it just sounds like wishful thinking and a scapegoat to blame Errol Spence Jr. instead of giving credit to Errol Spence Jr. And the other thing that's weird is you should be trying to make Errol sound like a monster if you're confident you're going to beat him next week, because then people will give you more credit. But instead, Team Crawford is discrediting Errol Spence and saying he's a media creation, which is kind of like a paper champ, or saying he was conjured up and the networks, PBC and Showtime and PBC gave him opportunities, and the fans bought the tickets, and he beat Mikey Garcia for his O. And it was a battle of undefeateds, battle of the O's. He beat Mikey Garcia. He sold out 50,000, with Mikey Garcia in that particular fight. So the fans spoke and they did the rest. It sounds like pure jealousy and hate that Crawford's career, he's never had 50,000 people in the seat, and his pay-per-views haven't sold the same as Errol Spence Jr. He's not the A side, and it sounds like they resent that. That's what it truly seems like. I also want to give mention to, you see behind me, this BOMAC interview is from the best women's boxing. So shout out to my girl, Cynthia. She's the one that actually conducted this interview. So the best women's boxing show was Cynthia Conte, right? And credit to them. The link will be in the description so you go listen to BOMAC. But all in all, it sounds weird and it sounds forced and it's a lie, flat out. The media didn't create Errol Spence. The media didn't create the knockouts and make guys' eyes swell up, or send Errol to the Olympics, or to give Floyd Mayweather fits in sparring, and everything that I've said right here in this video. So you can't really blame the media. And if anything, this is what Bob Arum complained about for Crawford. Crawford should have been promoting himself better, like the Floyd Mayweathers, like how PBC promoted. I mean, granted, they had the better, bigger welterweight names outside of Crawford. So Errol was able to be in the playground with other contemporaries that we wanted to see him fight. Danny Garcia, Ugas, Sean Porter, Mikey Garcia, other big fights. But I mean, that's really tough titty. Like, Crawford stayed with Top Rank, and that's the decision he made. He doesn't want to do media and things like that. That's on him. So you can't be mad because Showtime, PBC, and Fox actually branded and spent some marketing dollars to make big fights with Errol Spence. And Errol, being from a big state, has a great relationship with the Dallas Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones. And then that became kind of his second home for big fights. I mean, Terence Crawford, he could have tried to make Omaha a destination spot if he had big fights that people were willing to travel from. But the last huge fight in Omaha that Crawford probably had, where it was huge and people might have liked, was probably Gamboa. And then there was a period of time where, up until this David Avanesian fight, Top Rank, the back half of his career, they were putting him in Vegas, and the Sean Porter fight was in Vegas, and Mean Machine fight was probably in New York. So they weren't even putting him in Omaha. So you can't really be mad that Errol Spence fought in Texas for some of the big fights to generate the money, and then also had great fights at the Staples Center with like guys like Sean Porter, right? And knocking out Bundu and these things. The media didn't knock out Bundu. So it's just it's a crazy comment to even say that. Let me know how I did in this video. I totally disagree with what Bomac has said. I mean, ultimately, I'm just making the video because it's pretty much fight week. So we just hyping up the fight, and I'm definitely gonna get paid for my labor. And you know, we'll see. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. We're gonna get an outcome July 29th. But you know, I can't wait. I can't wait. That's all I gotta say. Drop it in the comment section. Way off the mark comment from Bomac to call Errol Spence a media creation, as if the media falsely gave him credit. And then I gotta also say, lastly, if Errol Spence, and this is what makes Crawford's team's statements unbelievable. If you truly believe that Errol Spence is a media creation, meaning it's a fabricated story and glorified guy, then how on earth can you say that Jeff Horn isn't? And you want credit for a Jeff Horn win, which was a fake win from Pacquiao in Australia. That's the question I'm going to leave you guys with. If you think Errol Spence didn't earn the 3 belts, or he's a media creation and the media souped him up, then how do you give credit to guys like Ricky Burns or guys like Jeff Horn or David Avanesian after you chose to fight? Let me know in the comment section. And I'm out.
Introducing Super Thanks. Right here on the official Boxingego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new, interactive, and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.